In this video, we're going to cover how priority is assigned to items, as well as how you can adjust or manipulate some of those priorities to push some of the items you want to work on first in your EIA findings above others. There's really three different ways we will tackle this. One will be assigning different scoring to individual rules. Then we'll also look at some of the summarization scripts in terms of how we can adjust the priority directly in the summarization scripts. And lastly, we'll use metric scripts to accentuate or add to the weights of different things. So the first thing you'll see is all these items have basically the same score. If you click on the score, you'll see it gives, for this one, it had one finding, got a score for that recommended finding of 250 for it. So where that comes from is if we navigate to the actual rule record, which you can click through to the finding, to the rule, what we'll find is there's a tab called Scoring, and Use Default Scoring has a tooltip on it, which basically highlights that for errors you get 100 points, if it's a recommendation you get 50 points. Then the priority level also factors in, you get 50 points for a priority level of high, or 200 points for priority level high, 100 points for medium, 50 points for low. Also the effort, if the effort is low, then you get another 100 points. So it's basically taking those three different factors of the effort to remediate, the priority, as well as the type being error versus recommendation. So the first thing you can do is you can go in and assign a different score for something. So maybe I want this particular rule to have a higher score. Let's say this is a 500 point score. Right, if I save that and then I come into our review and I do a regenerate summary. Now this UI action you're not going to find out of the box with EIA, but basically what it's doing is recreating these summary items just through a simple little script that recalculates the summary. And using this mostly for demonstration purposes, just to highlight that now that I've done this, the ones that had a rule of the get row count have now adjusted to a 500 point total, still all kind of highlighted together. So that's kind of the rule scoring, and be using that. So I'm just going to go ahead and reset that to the default. And so the other way we can do this is we can use what are called summarization rules. Now the summarization rules get tied to a table. So in our case, a lot of our table records that we're dealing with here are script include records. So I could go and create a new summarization rule for that script include table, which is sys script include. Rule for sys script include. Now, what I could do here is, in essence, what I want to record is basically the answer equals to our priority. So answer equals 500 would assign any new script include a point of 500. Now maybe what I want to do is something more specific, and that maybe what I want to have is if it's a specific script. So if I have the specific script called demo cleaner, let's give it a 2,000 point kind of score. We can also add to our different details variable some output of the HTML that we want to report in that detail. So if I add this as a new summarization kind of script, go back to our review, and I'll regenerate summary. Now we'll find that all of our scripts have 250 points, but our one script included that's named demo cleaner now has 2,000 points. The way this will then show kind of in here, right, is now demo cleaner is at the top. If I click on it, you'll see we also have this new highlighted HTML message that say 2,000 points for demo cleaner script being important. All right, so that's kind of conditional using the summarization rules to set priority. Now, the next part of this is kind of using metric scripts. So what metric scripts do for us is that I've already created one here, but so I've got one out here for script references, which basically is going out and taking our current, in this case, script include that we're looking at, take the name of that, go search through our sys meta table or mis data table for any references to this particular script include, excluding itself. So in essence, how often is it found within other script includes, other business rules, other UI actions? You know, when is this particular script include called? Now the way we can use this is we can go back to our sys script include. We can attach our metric here to this. And even just by doing this, you'll get some additional information within the findings, kind of a related table list of how many times that particular script include was used. But to use it in conjunction with the priority, what we can do is something like this. And I'll copy this script so I don't have to type it again. So instead of Instead of going after a specific script name, what we're going to do now is grab this metric for this particular item, and then for any number, for how many times it's actually referenced, let's multiply that times 10. That becomes our extra score. We're going to max that out at 1,000 points. And we're basically going to take whatever our score is for our default rules and findings. We're going to take that and we're going to add to it this extra score that we're getting from the number of references. And we're going to report the number of references in our kind of output details. All right, so now if I save this, and I come back over and I regenerate summary, now we should get up some slightly different variations in results. Now we've got some scripts that show up with 1250. Right, if I were to come out to our review workspace, refresh this, you'll see our 1250 on these different items. Now we've got some of these are hitting that max score of 1,000 and plus the score of that particular rule. And so this is then taking those number of references into account. Now I did mention that this is also going to report in a couple places. So if we go to our review and you go to these summary items, you click into the summary items, what you'll have, since by doing that summarization rule and attaching metrics to it, it's also going to create another tab of data over here, which is going to say the number of times this particular script include is referenced is 925. Right, and some other ones in here, you'll see some other different scores, 7,000 times. Right, so lots of references being done for some of these scripts. Right, so that's kind of the gist of that. So that's kind of what I wanted to cover today. Again, your 3 different ways to manipulate the scoring. One is assigning different scores specifically to the rules, and also using those summarization rules to either assign a priority score or conditionally assign priority score. And then lastly, using metrics as a way to take the priority scores and add to them, and also report on additional information or metrics about those particular records that are being impacted. Hope this was helpful, and thank you for your time. Thanks.